Do you want to make your scruffy looking retro game consoles pop? Or do you like watching retro game modding videos? If you like either one, have a seat and get settled in, because I'm back at you one more again with part 2 of how to make clear silicone molds for your Famicom. Hi, I'm Scruffy Looking RGB. I like to show you interesting ways to mod your retro video games and consoles. I also take you on retro video game hunts all over Japan, so if either of these things interest you, consider subscribing, because I'll take you on new adventures every week. Now on to today's modding video. Before we start, here is a list of the things you'll need. Go ahead and take a screenshot so you can use it for your later reference. First thing you're going to need is some UV resin. This is made by Padico in Japan. We've got our D-pad here, and in this method, I'm going to add just a bit of clear to the very top of the button. Let's take out our glitter. This is a blue glitter I got. Yes, I know what you're saying. Why are you using lame powder? But actually it's pronounced lame powder. So it's not lame, it's lame. Anyways, this was only 100 yen, and we're just gonna lightly tap it on there, because if I just dump it with my hand, it will just clump up in one spot, and we want to kind of spread it out evenly. Conserve the lame powder, or lame powder, however you want to say it. But, you know, just get it nice and even coat. And this is the way I did it. Just tap it on my wrist instead of dumping it all in at once. Now you're going to take out your UV LED, which is also by Padico, and it connects to a USB adapter. It has the little UV LED lights on it on the bottom, and these handy little stand that you just pull out. It's very light. It's easy to drop. It's very slippery, but you've got two options: 60 seconds, and if you hit it again, it turns off, and 30 seconds. We're gonna go for 60 seconds on our top, just to be sure. But that's how quick and easy this is. It's just 60 seconds to harden. So let's go ahead and harden the top layer. So we're hardening it here. What do you think about this mod here, R2? Yeah, I think so too. What do you guys at home think about this mod? Is it something you might try? Drop me a line in the comments there. Let me know what you guys think. Oh, it's good to be quick and have all your tools ready. There she goes. So, let's take a look. And yes, it does look to be hardened. Now we need to add the second layer. Here is the syringe we're going to be using. It's about 10 milliliters syringe. It was like $1. I bought it at a craft store. Also, before you add your resin, you're going to want to put a little bit of tape on the end of the syringe, just so the resin doesn't seep out. Don't put it on there too tight, just leave it a little bit loose so you can pull it off quickly when it's time to use the resin. And you can probably use these a few times before you have to throw them away. We're going to put in about 5 to 6 milliliters. That should be more than enough resin. Next, we're going to add our resin dye. And this is also from the 100 yen store, which is like the dollar store in the US. And it's just a dye for the resin. And it's black. So it's going to give a good contrast. You're going to be able to, the front of the button is going to show up really well. Just, I'd say 2 drops, maybe 3 drops of this dye in here. Another thing I realized is using too much dye makes the resin not harden very well. You come out with gummy kind of results, so the buttons turn out kind of gummy. You'll have to experiment on your own with how much dye and how much resin you can mix together without getting that gummy consistency. And then I'm just using a wooden skewer here that is used for yakitori, if you know what that is, to mix it up inside of the syringe here. This is the way I do it. A lot of people do it in a separate cup, but I figure this wastes less resin, and this UV resin is kind of expensive. I think 100 grams was like 90 grams was like $10 or $13, something like that. So I'm trying to conserve as much as I can, so that's why I'm stirring it inside the syringe here. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up our mold, close up the top, and wrap it with rubber bands. I'm using clear rubber bands here, but please use just regular rubber bands. They're much stronger. I'm not going to tell you about these because they're not very good. So just go ahead and use regular old rubber bands. Before we inject, I always make sure to tape up the tip before I put resin inside of the syringe. So tape it up. I'm just using masking tape, and I'm going to pull it off here just before we put it down and stick it right into the syringe hole that you made and cut out with your X-Acto knife and board from the previous video. If you didn't check out the previous video, go ahead and do that now. And we're going to add the back half of the syringe and add some pressure here. It does take a bit of force. I'm going to speed it up just so that we don't have to sit through the whole process here. As you can see, it has gone through the mold quite nicely, and we still have resin to be left over, which I suggest make sure you use more than you need. So R2 says it's about done, and this is the most fun part. It's always like Christmas opening up a new mold that you just casted. Take a look inside and look at that beauty. Just sparkly. She's shining like the sun or the moon or a small moon. Shining like Alderaan before. Oh, anyways, it looks pretty fancy. So we're just gonna get rid of the parts that collected on the back of the insertion point with our finger. And she pulls out of there really nicely. And look at how solid she is. She's very solid. She's just got a little bit of residue left over, so you can clear that up with a craft knife or your fingernail, as I decided to do here. But you'll just need to clean it up a little bit compared to the original. And it looks like just a beautiful copy. Came out really good. I'm really excited about this D-pad. So let's test her out in the original Famicom controller and see how she moves around. So far it doesn't seem to be any obstructions, so I think we did a pretty good job. And just put the PCB board back in and snap up the back, and we're just going to test it out here. See how smoothly it moves. Look at how those buttons and that D-pad just make the controller pop. It just livens this controller up so much more.
Don't get cocky.
Yeah, it's got really good movement here. It moves really well. It's not too stiff. It's a little bit harder than the original one because it's hard resin. So the original D-pad is a little bit softer, I'd say, a softer kind of a plastic, but this really looks nice and it plays well as well. Take a quick refreshment break. Here's a quick look at the matching buttons for the D-pad. You can see here clearly the layer for the top half of the button. I'm really pleased with how these turned out. They stand out really nicely. Are you guys ready? I have something special for you all. Here are some more variations of buttons that I've been working on. What do you think? Question of the day. What buttons from today spark your interest? Or what console would you like to see parts get custom parts casted for it? Thank you all for your support. Thanks to you guys, I hit 1,000 subscribers. And as promised, I will be doing retro game hunts live here and there in Japan, so definitely stay tuned for that. Remember, if you like this video, please share it with someone you think would appreciate it, because it helps my channel grow and it pushes me to make more awesome videos. If you want to see part 1 of how to make clear silicone molds for your Famicom, click the screen on the bottom right. If you want to see another retro game hunting video, click the screen on the top right. Thank you all for watching. Take care, and remember, stay scruffy looking.
Who's scruffy looking?